and gentlemen, welcome to the Aspire Sports Show. I'm your host, Tyler, along with my co-host, and as you can see, there's somebody new here. His name's Hokie. Go ahead, say hi, Hokie.
What's up,
There you go.
people?
So I'm here with Kyle and Giggs, as always, and today Brian's going to join us, talk about we're going to recap week 3 a little bit, but mostly it's going to focus on people who are moving up, recap some injury news, and priority ads. So with that, let's get into it. First thing that we're going to talk about is just go over the injury news real quick because this will change throughout the week. So I'll just touch on some of the big ones here. So the first one is Noah Fant on Thursday night. He's going to miss a few weeks due to ankle injury. The big ones are Nick Chubb, MCL sprain. He's on IR. I think it makes most sense that he's going to be out 4 weeks because they have a week 9 bye. So he's probably going to be out 4 weeks and then he'll return. Austin Eckler, hamstring injury, hyperextended knee, 4 to 6 weeks. And this is also one that makes more sense being 6 weeks because they have a week 10 bye. So I believe it's going to be 6 weeks for him, 4 weeks for Chubb. We'll see if that actually happens. But the way that the schedule works, it makes the most sense. Drake, I put a question mark here because I don't know if he's actually hurt because Cliff said that he took a shot at the end of the game. He's okay, but he didn't go back into the game when he took the shot. So we'll see what happens. OJ Howard tore his Achilles, ruptured his Achilles, so season's over. He was playing actually pretty well, so it's kind of disappointing. Not fantasy wise, actual football wise. So done for the year. Cam Newton, COVID. Now this is important because they said 5 days symptom free. He's able to play with 2 negative tests in a row. So a lot of moving parts here to see if he can play this week, but we'll see. There's definitely a chance. Something to just keep your eye on during the week. LaShawn McCoy, I only mention this because if Fournette's not able to play, you got Keyshawn Vaughn, who's possibly an ad this week because McCoy got hurt with an ankle injury. And then I also wanted to add this one. You have CJ Henderson and DJ Hayden and Miles Jack all hurt, all left the game in the Jacksonville game. So they have Houston this week. So, with Houston just firing Bill O'Brien, let's see what happens. Maybe you have some Houston players this week, and it might be a good week, especially because a terrible secondary already just got worse with those guys out.
Great coach, Romeo Corneliphant.
So let's go on to the priority ads here. Probably the most obvious one is if Joshua Kelly's owned in your league, if he's not owned, right? If he's still available, spend, I'd say like 50% of your fab bucks, or if you have the number 1 waiver priority, I would definitely use it on him because you have Eckler who could possibly be out 6 weeks. So number 1 ad, I would also add Justin Jackson, just because they basically almost split on snaps, I think. So Joshua Kelly had 30 snaps to Justin Jackson's 21. It's going to be like a near split. And if a guy gets hot, I feel like they could probably ride him. So I would try to pick up both of these backs. You have them for a few weeks here. Next one is, now this one, let me know what you think, Brian. I want to know what you think because you're a closet Browns fan, right? So is it Ernest Johnson? Is that how you say it? Like they don't say his unit, right? I think it's just Ernest Johnson.
Yeah.
To me, this is tough because I do think he's an ad, obviously, because this is a team that wants to run the football, but how much do you prioritize this ad? Like, would you waste would you use a top priority pick or what?
I don't know. So when it comes to me with the waivers, I'm always someone that looks like, can this guy help me for more? If I have the number 1, I'm like, can he help me for more than just a few weeks? And obviously, yeah, they're at this point the number 1 rushing offense team in the NFL. So I like him as more of Kareem Hunt's not going to be the bell cow. I kind of see that being a little bit of a committee because when he was in there, he looked good.
Really good.
Yeah. So, I mean, I like him as if you have a number, like a high claim, I don't see him being as number 1 because I see like the Kellys and someone with a longer injury going in. But as far as using some fab bucks or a decent priority, I like We'll go Ernest Johnson. I like Ernest Johnson as kind of a few week play there because it's going to go to a committee. I see.
I agree. I think that he's a pretty good ad because he was the number 2 rusher last week, rated by Pro Football Focus. So I think he's a good ad this week. You have Chase Edmonds, who, if he's still available, I think he's somebody you have to add just because we have no idea what's going on with Drake. Like this offense just hasn't looked good, but also Drake has underperformed a little bit, but we'll see what happens going forward. Dalton Schultz for me is a 100% must add. If he's available in your league, go and get him. 8 catches, 14 targets the past 2 weeks, 120 yards and a touchdown. He's putting up really good numbers for a tight end, and you need tight ends. And then also talking about another tight end, I'll let Giggs talk about. Is it Tanyan? Is that What is that? How you say his last name? Because
Tanyan Jr.
I hear these announcers. 2 of them say one thing, and then the one says another
Well, the announcers never get it right, so.
So go ahead, Giggs. You can talk about this guy.
Yeah, so Tanyan, he was actually someone I looked at because I had Jonnu Smith postponed, and then I thought Hawkinson was going to miss. So I went and picked him up, and then I dropped him. So joke's on me because he went for 3 quarters tonight. I am a dummy. I am. I'm always dropping value. But, yeah, he's probably going to be available in just about every league. If you're in a 14-man league and you play with some stout competition, then yeah, he might be scooped already. But with Green Bay, with all the injuries, we don't know when Adams is coming back, and he's putting up tight end 1 production so far. And 75% of his games he scored. He has 5 touchdowns on the season. I see him as a must add. Tight end 1 going forward, especially with Lazard on the sideline.
I agree. Definitely a must add. Another one here. We have Hunter Renfrow, who, he's looked good, but also you have to consider that they're without Ruggs and also without Brian Edwards. So he's looked good, but we'll see what happens in this offense continue going forward. Can they support? This is like the third option. You have Jacobs, Darren Waller, and then Renfrow. So I mean, this isn't really a high-scoring offense. So, but somebody that if you need to fill in, if these guys are going to still be out, he's somebody that I would also look at. I would add Scotty Miller this week for sure because I don't think Chris Godwin plays. So with this week they play. Who do they play? Because I was looking at was this Chicago? Yeah.
Oh, we're talking about Bucks. Yeah.
So this is it'll be a tough game, but he's somebody who's seeing production. He's 8 catches on 12 targets for 166 yards and a touchdown the past 2 weeks. So somebody, I think he's had 80 yards both games. So somebody I would add. And then another person I would, if you need some help at the wide receiver position, is somebody who just is increasing each week in his production and how he looks on the field and kind of overtaking AJ Green a little bit here is T. Higgins. Last week, 4 catches on 7 targets for 77 yards. He was on the field the past 3 games, has been on the field for 79% of the passing down snaps. So seeing a lot of usage, it seems to have a good rapport with Joe Burrow. So somebody I would take a look at. And then, I've heard Kyle talk about this guy before, Chenault. So go ahead, Kyle. You think that he's somebody you should be looking at this week?
I never talked about him. It wasn't me.
I can take it over.
Yeah, I never talked. No, I didn't. It wasn't me.
But go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, I like Chenault a lot, especially in that offense. He's one of those guys who are coming out of college. I was kind of hoping the Eagles took him because he's just kind of like one of those physical freaks that you kind of want the ball in their hands. And it seems like week after week they're kind of getting him more involved in the offense, whether it's like handing the ball off to him or throwing passes to him. Minshew's getting a little bit more comfortable with him. So definitely, I think going forward, we'll have a bigger piece of that offense.
I agree. And the only thing that I would say is you just need to see more snaps. He's playing like roughly around 60% of the passing down snaps, so just needs to see a little bit more going forward. But I do think that they're using him more in creative ways, and you definitely would like to see that. So let's go into our next.
I want to say something about that as well. I think that coming out of college, he was one of the most dynamic wide receivers / playmakers in the draft. And Keenan Cole, D.D. Westbrook, and all those guys, I think he can be the clear-cut number 2. So I would say second half of the season, he could be someone who wins you the league.
You heard it here first. We'll have to replay that at the end of the year. All right, let's go on to our next one. We have some guys here. Are you holding or are you selling? So this is the part of the year where it gets a little dicey here. It's either you hold on to these bad draft picks, try to get some, quarters on the dollar, let's see here, or do you sell a high on some of these guys and make a fortune? So we're going to talk about one each that we'll at least try to talk about one that you should hold, and then try to make like a bold prediction, or one you can hold or sell, and then like a bold prediction. So I'll start it off, and then I'll pass it to the next people. But so the first one for me is Joe Mixon. Now, Joe Mixon has a soft place in my heart. I drafted him in every single league this year. The past 2 years, I've been big on him. He had a pretty good game this week, went off, and a lot of people I see on Twitter are like, dude, should I hold him or should I sell him? And I'll tell everybody, like, the way that the season is going right now, I mean, if you can get crazy value for him, and this goes for anybody, right? Any trade, if you're getting crazy value on people, then yes, trade them away. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's Christian McCaffrey. If somebody's giving me up like their entire team, then yes, there's a price on everybody. But I don't think that you're going to get what you should get for him. This is the number 1 back. Right now is 4th in the league in rushing attempts. 3rd in the league in the rushing attempts with 77. 5th for yards for rushing. Now, a lot of them came off of this game, but this isn't somebody that I would sell just because running back, you've already seen it. It's getting devastated by injury. Each year it's getting devastated in injury. You don't trade a bell cow back. And yes, he's not on that good of a team, but that's going to be a team that's also going to continue to improve with Joe Burrow out there, and I feel like a team that's going to get better. Oh, he plays the Ravens twice. Really, the Ravens' rush defense hasn't looked that good this year, and really last year they didn't look that good either. So I think this is going to be a player. Only team that I'm really worried about is the Steelers because they're the best team in the NFL, probably going to go to the Super Bowl, but they have a really good rush defense, so that's the team I'm a little bit worried about. But he has like a 4-week stretch where he plays the Giants. I can't even remember the Dolphins. So like, that's some money stuff right there. And then Houston, week 16 championship. Yes. Houston's giving up over 6 yards an attempt. Yeah. So that's a guy I'm keeping. And this is my bold prediction here. A guy I'm selling because you could probably get so much for him right now. Like, it'll never be higher than what it is because he's been dominating. It's somebody that people be crazy for selling, but Dalvin Cook. He's right now 33 points over his expected fantasy points. So, he's scoring some long touchdowns. He's had some long touchdowns. I think he already has like 6 rushing touchdowns on the year, but somebody who's scoring a lot. So the only reason why I'm saying sell is if you're getting the right price for him. And I think that if you could go to a team that needs running back help, you could get a decent price on him. In 2017, torn ACL. 2018, grade 2 hamstring strain. Well, he had 2 in the same season. 2014, right shoulder labrum tear. 2016, same thing. 2019, shoulder AC joint, missed games. So kind of an injury past here. A guy that I feel like is kind of like a ticking time bomb on he's probably going to get injured. All-time value or all-time ceiling right here. Like the highest you could probably get for him right now. You could probably get so much for him on somebody who's really desperate. So my bold trade, but I'll go ahead and Giggs, why don't you take over? Who would you like to talk about here?
I might as well talk about Kenyon Drake. So yeah, if you got Kenyon Drake, or if you own him like me, you probably drafted him much higher than me because he was my keeper. I got him in the 6th. So if you were someone who got him at the end of the 1st round, I feel so sorry for you. He went mostly like, tailing back in the 2nd round in like a 12-man, 10-man league. But you look at his production so far. He played San Fran. He had 13.5. Not bad. Washington, 10.5. We've talked about Washington's front 7. They're nothing to laugh at, but we still want more than 10.5 if this guy's supposed to be my RB1 or RB2. Played Detroit, only got 8.4. And I think that's when people started to, hit the panic button. Like, wait, is this guy a bona fide stud or what? Like, if I have other running backs I can play and I can play a wide receiver instead of him in the flex, maybe I should be doing that. So if you're looking to trade Kenyon Drake and you gave it like one more week and you saw what he just did to Carolina, 3.5, I mean, it's not acceptable. I get it. But he's gotten yards. He's not getting touchdowns. And he's not getting as much work when it comes to the pass catching. And I know Chase Edmonds is breathing down his neck. But if you're going to trade him, I say give it one more week because he's got the Jets, and I think that's a good matchup for him. And then even after that, he's got Dallas. If you don't like him after that, sell him because he's going to have Jets, Dallas, Seattle. Then he goes into a bye. Then he's got Miami, Buffalo, Seattle, New England, Rams. That would be playoffs. And if he doesn't turn it around, maybe you get rid of him for someone now. But for now, I'm going to say hold. Give him 1 or 2 more weeks because he's got good matchups. But if Edmonds is out there, if you can get Edmonds and you're a Drake owner and you can get rid of someone you don't need necessarily, go get that handcuff because whoever's toting the ball the most there, I just like Arizona's offense. I think the guy's going to be an RB1 or 2, whether it's Edmonds or Drake.
All right, Ryan, what about you?
I'm going to go the sell route, and I am going to go Amari Cooper. He just went off this last week, but I'm looking at it as a sell high opportunity. So far this season, he's played the Rams, Atlanta, Seattle, and Cleveland. That Cleveland game going in, it was just an absolute shootout. If you didn't have good fantasy stats in that game, then you probably shouldn't be on someone's roster right now. So after 30 fantasy points and a half PPR, the schedule is going to start to get a little tougher. I mean, he has the Giants this week, so he'll probably see solid production for one more week. But of those 4 games, he's outperformed his projections just one of the 4 games. And Seattle is like historically maybe not historically, but at least this season has one of the worst defenses in the league. So after a 30-point performance and 0.5 PPR, I would be selling on Cooper right now.
Is there anybody else that you would hold, or is that it?
Well, Ty, I didn't prepare that right now, but if you let Kyle go, maybe I can come up with one for you real quick.
Oh, it's okay. We'll get to the next segment. How about that? So Kyle, go ahead. What's one?
The guy that I'm selling on is Myles Gaskin, especially after this week. This entire season, 0 points, and he hasn't had 100 all-purpose yards or 15 fantasy points in a game all season. Now, I'm not saying like he's a guy that drop him if you have him. If you have nobody else, it could be worse. Like 14 points isn't bad, but he had less rushing yards than Ryan Fitzpatrick last week against a Seattle team who has given up. Against running backs, they've been pretty good. I will say that, but still, Fitzpatrick outrushed him. So I'm just a guy that I think that you could find better pieces moving forward if you're looking to trade. But do you want me to go on my buy, or do you want me to let Ryan go? Ryan, are you ready?
I do have one.
Go ahead.
I'm holding on to Josh Jacobs. The last 2 weeks, he started off the season, killed it against Carolina. The last 2 weeks, he's had bad numbers. We'll just say it's been bad numbers, but it was against New England and Buffalo. 2 of the better defenses and creative defense as far as taking away an offensive playmaker. So they did their job against Josh Jacobs, stopped that, made Derek Carr pass the ball. But I'm holding on to him for now because I think he's one of the best running backs in the league when it comes down to it. So I'm holding on to him for now.
And then the guy I'm buying is Justin Jefferson. I really like him. He's a guy that's like kind of starting to come out these last 2 weeks. Against the Texans, he was 5 for 4. He had 103 yards, and he had, I think it was 2 touchdowns. And he had 30.5 points. But against Tennessee the following week, he 9 for 7, 175 yards, 14.3 points against Tennessee's defense, who's only given up the 5th fewest points this season. So I think that was a game that it came out as this dude's legit. But my bold prediction for him, and this is pretty bold, but I'll throw it out there. I think he could finish top 5 in fantasy points this season amongst wide receivers,
Go ahead.
even passing Adam Thielen. I really do think he's that legit, but it really just depends on the direction of the defense. And if Dalvin Cook doesn't stay healthy, then they're going to go really pass heavy. So it could definitely be even more possible.
All right. Let's continue on to our climbers and divers section. People climbing up the mountain, and the divers who are diving in that shallow pool that are looking like some people you should probably drop. So let's talk about a couple here. So the first one I'm going to talk about, Robbie Anderson, man. Like, this dude's been such a stud, and like, I did not expect this at all coming into the season. I expected them to be like, decent, but I didn't expect Teddy Bridgewater to be pushing the ball down the field as much as he is, and like, because there's already DJ Moore in there, and he's been outperforming DJ Moore. Now, I will say, if you're a DJ Moore, owner, I wouldn't panic yet. He's seen the 10th most targets this year amongst wide receivers. The production just hasn't been there, but I think that he'll get there. But Robbie Anderson right now, this was when I was looking at it before Tyreek Hill played, so Tyreek passed him. But he's the number 12 fantasy right now, scoring-wise, 7th among wide receivers in targets, and he has 3 games over 13 points. I mean, that's wide receiver 1, production right there. It's just, this guy's been a stud, and if you have him, you've drafted the gem. He's somebody I would also keep on to.
I wanted to say I mixed up my 2 numbers. He got 30.5 against the Titans and then 14.3 against the Texans. That was my bad. I mixed those 2 up.
Okay. And then somebody I would I was high on him this week, and that was Darrell Henderson, man. What a letdown, dude. Sean McVay, you Belichicked us, or Bellatrix, whatever they call it. Come on, dude. Like, the hell? Like, he only played 22 snaps. Now, I will say, on those 22 snaps, 40% of the time he touched the ball in terms of rushes, and I think he only had 1 reception, but 40% on those snaps, he touched the ball. So that's pretty good. But 22 snaps out of 57 snaps for the week, no bueno. So it wasn't good. He got outrushed by Malcolm Brown, and then this week it looks like Cam Akers is going to come back. So now you have 3 people in that backfield. Who do you want? Me, none of them. I don't want anything to do with this backfield. After Sean McVay said, yeah, he looks like our lead guy, and then he comes out and screws you. No thanks. I don't want any part of it. I don't care who he says, yeah, this guy looks good. He sounds like what's the dude? Pete Carroll. He just talks everybody up. So no thanks, I'm out. All right, let's head over to Giggs. Go ahead. What about your climber and divers?
I mean, my climber would be that tight end out of Green Bay. The hell's his name?
Tanya.
Tanya, yeah, Tanya Jr. Yeah, I've already tried to block that out because I dropped him. But yeah, I just think tight end is a premium. Like, that's like make or break in head-to-head leagues. So if he wasn't, I think we mentioned him last show too. So this is 2 weeks we've mentioned him now. We were ahead of the curve. That's, that's Aspire Sports for you. We're just giving you the best content early. But yeah, pick him up if you need a tight end. There's a lot of guys who are not playing up to par this year, like Evan Ingram. Although I was considering mentioning him as someone to hold on to. I think he can still salvage his season. It's more so like, is he going to get hurt or not? But I definitely think that he's a climber. But yeah, Robert Tonyan, he has potential to finish tight end 1 potential. So if he's out there, go get him, especially if you don't have a backup or if you're hurting in tight end position.
I do want to say, make sure if you like this video, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Why wouldn't you? We give the best fantasy advice and also some pretty good player prop bets. Although I will say tonight was not a good night, but I didn't do that much research into this game. I didn't want to do these games tonight just because I don't like doing a single game. It's tough. And I didn't know what to expect out of New England, but that's totally a different topic. But if you like this video, hit that like, subscribe button. Thank you. And we'll
And
kick it over
merch
to
coming
Ryan.
soon.
Go ahead, Ryan.
All right, I'm going to go with my climber. I'm going to go with Deebo Samuel. He is someone that when you were drafting, if you had the bench space to be able to hold on to him and wait until he got off the IR because he started the season on the IR, you are going to be rewarded because this dude, they've been saying the entire time he's going to be a big part of this offense. You saw it last year, and they said basically Shanahan came out and said he wasn't going to have his normal role going into week 1, and even his normal role, he ended up with. I mean, he had he had 3 catches, and then he also rushed the ball once, but he was also being shadowed by Slay for a majority of the time as well. So going forward, the more that he gets, more healthy he gets, as far as getting more involved with the offense as he becomes more familiar with these rotating door of horrible quarterbacks until Garoppolo gets back. I could see him being someone that honestly is like a flex player that could win you some matchups in the playoffs and potentially give you some championship upside as far as someone that you stashed to get you there.
Agreed. And what a disappointment Nick Mullins was in that game. I was so disappointed. I had some decent expectations for him. Threw for 343 yards last week. I was so disappointed in that game. All right. Anyways, Kyle, what about you?
My climber is CeeDee Lamb, which I guess a lot of people could say it's a little obvious, but he's a guy that I've been waiting to bloom. I've had him on my fantasy team, and I think it's that time. The last 2 weeks, he's had 14 targets for 10 receptions, 2 touchdowns, and 65.2 points. I mean, he's a kind of a splash play guy. He's not Amari Cooper. He's not getting most of the targets, but he's still catching everything that Dak Prescott's throwing at him, especially in a high-flight offense. So I would say he's definitely solidified himself as a solid wide receiver 2 over Michael Gallup. So that's the thing, is I do like him a little bit more over Michael Gallup. And I think this is a pretty crazy stat that speaks to how good he is. With 20 less targets and 16 less receptions, he's only trailing Amari Cooper as his counterpart by 20 points and 92 yards as a rookie. So I think it speaks to a lot like how good he's doing right now. So he's one of those guys I think is just climbing and is a must start from the rest of the season. Do you want me to go into my diver or no?
I mean, you can if you want.
Okay. And then Jeff Wilson's my diver. I wasn't really that big on him going into this week anyways because of the production of Brandon Ayuk, especially last week he went off. And I know that I don't know if Ayuk's even really is he on the depth chart as a running back? He's a wide receiver,
No,
right?
As wide receiver,
Yeah.
He's kind of taken like Debo's role a little bit.
Right. And I know, like, I think most people are putting maybe Wilson, he could be considered a flex for some people. I really wouldn't even want him as a starter
No,
anyways.
he's just droppable right now.
Yeah, I mean, he's mostly droppable, but especially with McKinnon anyways. And Ayuk is only – so Wilson's owned in 48% of leagues, but Ayuk's only owned in 26% of leagues right now. So if you drop Wilson, obviously – I mean, it wouldn't really make that much of a difference, and Ayuk is probably available. And also, if you're a McKinnon owner and a Wilson owner, you're basically going to win because you can have McKinnon and you can pick up Ayuk, who are both, I think, going to offer you 10 to 15 points or more a game.
That's a bold prediction. Well,
if Monster comes back, obviously, I mean, that's
I think Monster comes back this week, and then also I think, in my opinion, Ayuk has looked good, no doubt, but he's also kind of taken on that Debo role where he's getting those rushes in those creative ways that Shanahan does, and I think
But Debo played this weekend,
healthier,
and he still outproduced him, though.
Yeah, but he also just came off a foot injury. It's his first game. I think that going forward, he's gonna definitely. All right. Anyways, let's get into the. Well, actually, I want to talk real quick about a couple of people here. So let's talk about droppables real quick. Jeff Wilson, droppable. If you have Alshon, what are you still holding on to him for? If you have, I guess I wouldn't say Alshon, but Deshaun Jackson. I mean, the dude's constantly hurt. Just get rid of him. Why are you holding on hope? Just get rid of him. Wouldn't you agree, Ryan?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you got to get rid of him. Just cut the ties, man. What are you waiting for? He's never healthy. Who are people that I just can't think of off the top of my head, but there's probably a whole list of them. We'll talk about it more tomorrow. No, Wednesday. Is that Wednesday's episode? Yeah, Wednesday when we talk about transaction trends. So but there's just some guys that like AJ Green, man. It's not happening. Last week I put him as somebody I like because I had some hope. It's not happening. He's somebody that I would probably get rid of just because T. Higgins looks like he's coming out, and T. Higgins is the guy to own right now. Well, obviously Tyler Boyd is, but after that I would probably go T. Higgins. But just some guys that holding that hope, you're wasting. You're wasting your time.
Gig said he has a climber.
Go ahead, Giggs.
Yeah, here's my climber. Justin Herbert. I think Justin Herbert's a stud. I actually
too.
liked him more than Tua coming out. I'm looking at his schedule. I'm not going to call it a cakewalk, but he's got a pretty soft schedule coming up. And I'm looking in comment section. People don't know whether to play him or Breeze or him or Tom Brady. I think Justin Herbert is someone who's not scared to rip it, and he has proven that he is definitely better than Tyrod Taylor. So
If they go back to Tyrod, dude, oh my
no,
God.
they won't.
And
They
the thing with
can't.
Herbert too is with him being so ruthless and just one of those dudes that can rip it. He's playing with house money right now. Like the Chargers have zero expectations for their season, so he can just go out and play freely until if he plays bad, he gets benched basically. But I think he is pretty legit. I hope to see. The only game that's not a cakewalk, obviously, for him is when they play Kansas City, and probably Oakland won't be either.
Yeah, if you have like a Kirk Cousins as your QB2 on your bench and Herbert's out there, go get Herbert. Like I honestly think that he could finish the season with more fantasy points than Deshaun Watson. I know that's
Ooh,
crazy.
There's a bold statement.
Think about it. Houston's offense has been abysmal. Like I
Well,
know Bill
I will
O'Brien's
say
out, but
this.
you're gonna have a new
Yes,
guy coming in. Like it's gonna
that's
be all
some
new.
hope.
So like this Herbert kid who's not scared to rip it. He's got good weapons around him apparently. Like I don't know. He's looked really, really good. So that's my climber.
I do have one more climber.
We gotta get through it. We gotta go to the next segment. We're taking too long on
I
this.
guess we didn't talk
all
about
right.
Calvin Ridley though. He is a
No, it's fine. He was hurt, so I don't.
Yeah.
I wouldn't take any stock into this game. You had
Yeah,
wide
no, I
receivers that
agree.
were down, so
That's a sore subject
Today
for Ty.
isn't. Yeah.
well, I don't even care, honestly. So, anyways, let's go into our last segment here. One person that I guess just 10 seconds on. Damian Harris, if he's available, he might be available in your leagues because he was on IR. Just got kind of like out of the blue, promoted or taken off IR. Sony Michel goes there IR. Had a really good game this week. Damian Harris, look for him if he's available, pick him up. All right, early lines here. For me, there's one line that I really like, and that's Cleveland plus 2.5 against Indianapolis. Indianapolis looks good. Don't get me wrong. 100% they look good. But they played Jacksonville. Nah. Tennessee. Okay. Jets. Nah. The Bears. Do you think the Bears are really that good? I don't. And the Browns, man, their rush offense right now looks really good. I'm not gonna lie. The Browns. Hey, I made a what is that? Future bet, right? That's what they're called. Future bet for the Browns to win the division. I believe in the Browns this year. I do believe in the Browns. I think they win this game outright. So give me the 2.5. That's the line I like. What about you guys? I see someone wrote Bucks minus 5.5. Who wrote that?
I did. I like the Bucks minus 5.5 this Thursday night. It's a primetime game. The offense started clicking this past weekend. The Bears, they were hoping for good things to come when Nick Foles took over from Trubisky. The offense didn't really seem to. I mean, when Foles came in that game, they had a good second half. But as far as the game this past weekend, where Foles started, the offense really didn't look much better. And I think with the Bucks starting to click on offense, the defense is going to come around at some point. So I'm thinking in a primetime Thursday night game, I would take the Bucks to win by at least a touchdown against the Bears.
What about you, Giggs? Any that you like? Have you looked at them yet?
Oh, I've looked at him, baby.
I'll say one more and then I'll let you go, Giggs. Which one was it? I believe it was the Jacksonville game. Jacksonville and Houston, yeah. Right now is projected to be 54.5. It's one of the highest scoring games on the slate. I don't know. I mean, you just had a coach that was fired, so like Giggs kind of said, new offense. In Jacksonville, I mean, Sure, maybe they can score, but I just don't know if this is going to get to 54.5, and I'd go the under. That's one that I like. Go ahead, Kicks.
Yeah, Eagles playing the Steelers. They're at Pittsburgh. Right now it's at -7.5, and that has juice on it. It's plus 105 odds. I love it because they basically got a week off. They got to get ready for Philadelphia. And I still have no faith in this Eagles team. I'm sorry, Ryan. I don't have any faith.
I don't
If they
either.
can't get Miles Sanders going, which I doubt they will be able to against the Steelers defense, I don't see how they win this game. So I think the Steelers with -7.5, that's nice. And yeah, I agree with you on the Cleveland plus 2.5. That's a little enticing. But I got to say this, the Indy Chicago game, Frank Wright or Frank Rich, whatever the hell his name is.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, Nick Foles was his little protege. Like that was like his project.
Mhm.
Like I had a feeling that Foles wasn't going to have a good game against them, but I mean Herbert he torched Tampa. I'm concerned about Tampa. Like
I'm not going to lie. That was
They're
one I actually
banged
was
up.
the opposite way.
They're
Ryan.
banged up on
I was-
offense, and if they're
right.
100%, I like them. But that's what I'm gonna have to watch as we get closer because if they have no Godwin, if Evans is a go and Scotty's a go, yeah, I'd entertain it. But like if either of those two guys are out, especially with OJ Howard now being down,
But Gronk's getting a little more comfortable.
It's a short week for Noodle Arm. He's not a Noodle Arm. That's Drew Brees. But Arizona, I think they're going to bounce back against the Jets. I like
that one too.
-6.5 right now. Baltimore against Cincy, I like -13.5. I think they're going to continue to play pissed off. And
Oh, you're going to go ball. I was going to take the opposite way. I was going to go. I'll take that.
I think I like Baltimore here because, and I mean, if you guys do alternate spreads,
Mhm.
I like -6.5 or -9.5 to play it safe too, but I do think Baltimore will take care of business at home against Cincy.
All right.
Kansas City -12.5 is a trap.
Who do they play?
They play the Raiders, but the Raiders always play them tough.
The Raiders. All right. Any other ones? Anybody has any final thoughts here? No? We're good to go?
We're good.
All right. Well, remember, if you enjoyed it, which obviously did, because you're still listening, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and you know what? Share it. Share with all of your friends. Maybe you're like, hey, mom, dad, they're playing fantasy football. Yeah, check these guys out. You know, maybe you have some good friends that like fantasy football, and you're like, man, I'm always in last place. Well, hey, we can help you get out of last place. Listen to our advice, especially our bets. We did a pretty good job of betting this weekend. Not so much Monday night, okay? You know, back to the median. You know, you got to go back to the middle here. So we took a little step back, but Sunday was a very good day bet-wise for us. So with that being said, thank you for listening. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. We'll post our next video. Turn on that little bell so you know you can get the latest and all the great news from us. So with that being said, thank you. Have a great whenever you're watching this night, day, whatever it is. See ya.